For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
7:05. Welcome to today's Entrepreneur, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. My name is Dan Delmar, along with Josh Miller of Fuller Landau. How's it going, Josh?
Excellent, Dan.
Happy Monday. Nice to see you as usual here. And let's begin with our entrepreneur profile for the evening. His name is Brahm Mauer of the, I guess, aptly titled Brahm Mauer Bar Service. Brahm, welcome back to CJ.
Thank you very much. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
A topic and a business that I'm sure is close to our hearts and livers.
Very close to all of our livers. And no samples, unfortunately, but nonetheless, we'll talk about the business. And so you run a bar service.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about the way your business works.
Basically, we are a full turnkey bar service providing bar services for corporate events, weddings, private parties, home parties, fundraisers, etc. So we provide everything from alcohol, staff, sodas and juices, and you name it. Anything that we can do to bring something special to the event, we'll provide.
Including the bars itself, whatever format they may come in?
Right, exactly. We work with a lot of the rental companies in the city, and we rent bars from whoever we deem necessary for that specific event. Everyone brings something different to the table, so depending on what the theme of the event is or what we're doing, if we're trying to raise money, we'll have a bigger bar from different suppliers, etc. So
now, how did you get into this business? Where did it start?
I actually started off as a dishwasher at a restaurant called Movilage in Hudson, and my father actually comes from the restaurant industry as well, so I guess it was in my blood and it was meant to be. So yeah, I started off as a dishwasher and basically moved my way up through the kitchen. Worked in all aspects: salads, desserts, entrees, line cook, etc. And then I wanted to kind of venture into the front of the house and see what that brought to the table. You know, I feel like I interact very well with people directly, and I wanted to be involved on that side of the restaurant. So did busboy and waiter and bartender and service manager and bar manager and general manager, et cetera, till I got to the point where I was like, you know, what's next? What can we do? How can I change Montreal and the events that are going on? And Brahm Mauer Bar Services was born, pretty much.
Did it come to a point where you said, I'm tired of working for somebody else, and you know, I really, if I'm going to do a great job, let me do it from my own pocket and my own heart, and not necessarily under somebody else?
You know, to be honest, I've always loved what I've done as a job, and whether that was working for someone else or for myself, I didn't really see it as, you know, oh, I get to work myself now and no one has to tell me what to do, etc. It was more like, I love what I'm doing. How can I excel in that specific field?
And so you're starting this bar service that you've always worked for somebody else. It was always somebody else's headache to get the supply and staff everything. And now you're getting into this, you know, really starting, again, you have the knowledge, but you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Where do you start? What's your first step? What's your first concern?
Well, I mean, you know, it was because I did a couple of events with some other companies before I started my bar service. I saw what it took, and I saw the dedication that was needed to get the ball rolling. And of course, it was really just a question of that first big event, right? When are we going to get it? What's it going to be for, etc. And it just so happens that the first major event that we did was the Kids for Kids fundraiser, which brings in about 1,000 partygoers. It's a fundraiser for the Sarah Cook Fund at the Cedars Hospital, and what an honor. You know, getting that call was really the best thing that happened to my company. It brought us to a new level right off the bat, and we are introduced to, you know, thousands of people that could potentially book our services in the future. So, and at the same time, we're raising money for a great cause. You know, so it wasn't really a question of being afraid of starting. I think it was just getting that event. And once that event came to the table, it was go time.
You're in a really fun business, planning parties, bar service. Whenever sort of I see these entrepreneurs, I wonder, is it really as fun as I think it is? Or is it really just as difficult and stressful as any other business?
I have to be honest and tell you that it's actually so much fun. I love what I do. I have a passion for it. I love creating memorable experiences. I love being around new people all the time. And through my bar services, either raising money for a fundraiser or, you know, a wedding. It's the most important part in someone's life. Being a part of that is it's actually a privilege, and we take it very seriously. The staff that we hire, we want to make sure everyone around us is having an absolutely amazing time, and that's really the bottom line.
It's nice to hear, because a lot of event planners tell me it's so much more difficult and gruesome than it looks, but apparently it could be a lot of fun too, which is nice to see.
We don't really touch on the event planning so much. We're hired by the event planners most of the time, and we really respect our boundaries, and we really respect that we're coming in to work for the bar and make sure that the bar is everything it can be, and we don't really step on the event planners' toes as much. But I can understand where they're coming from, because it is tough. Planning a wedding or a corporate event, it's a lot of work. But we focus on what we're good at and what we're hired for.
So this first event, you're just starting out. Now you have to really go out and pay for things yourself.
Right.
There's a finance, a dollar and cents aspect to it. Was that how did you get that off the ground? Did you have to borrow, or you? How did that work for you? Was that scary?
That part was actually very scary. I did start the company in debt. I did start the company with very, very little funds, and that was actually very scary. But thank God that I have parents and friends around me that, said, wow, this is something really cool that we really believe in, and let us give you a hand. And it was really just a question of that first event. I borrowed a little bit of money to do that first one, and then once, of course, I got paid for the event, I paid back what I had to, and then it was just a question of how much inventory I have and how much more I need, and that really got me started.
So does that mean that you purposely now operate always from I guess we'll call it cash flow positive, as in you always make sure that the funds are in by the time you have to pay things out?
It's hard to explain. We have a large inventory, right? So we're always pulling out of the inventory. I bring it up whenever I'm at the SAQ and I see that we're going to need a little bit, more vodka, etc. I'll go and I'll buy it. But it's not really. It's not really something that it's a concern. You know what I mean? Now, if I get paid in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, it's okay. You know what I mean? But we definitely always have to get paid for our work, right? That's for sure. But it's not something that's that we worry about too much. We just like to get paid in ample time, but we'll do the job first for sure, without question.
Are you scientific when it comes to how much do you need to keep on hand? It's certainly in those first few events, how do you know how much people are going to drink? Do you want to run out?
Yeah.
You don't want to run out.
No, you never want to run out, that's for sure.
So how and today I'm sure you have, several years under your belt. You have a great idea of what people may drink, and you have, as you say, a huge inventory, so you're not worried about it. But in that first, 6 months of doing business, how do you make sure that you're really stocked enough?
That was another thing that, as you grow a business, you learn, of course, about yourself and about how, people are going to drink, let's say, for example, in relation to the bar service. But, we had one or two events where we didn't judge properly. We might have run out of vodka, etc. And it was always a question for us to just always bring excess and bring more. So if we do a party for 300 people, we'll bring enough for 600 people. I don't want to have to be running around the city looking for vodka or rum because I ran out. It's not worth it, and that's not how our reputation will grow. Our reputation has grown to where it is today because we provide that party, because we'll never run out of alcohol, because we're there. We're not trying to cut the bar early and take advantage of anyone. So it's.
Is that common that in these events a lot of people will just run out of alcohol? And
it's common. It happens for sure. I think it's all an equation. I always calculate it on a certain amount of drinks. Some people say to me, "Brahm, you're crazy. Like, why? How are you bringing so much alcohol to this event?" But it's all about having a nice back bar display, making sure that you have enough on hand. What happens if you have a bunch of Grey Goose only drinkers and they don't want to drink any rum or scotch or tequila, for example? You got to make sure you have enough of that vodka. So it does happen. It does happen. I've seen fundraisers where they've ran out of vodka before, and vodka is the most popular alcohol around, right? So it's not something that we take it very seriously. I think people think that it's very easy, but it's hard to judge what people are going to drink. And if you're always prepared, you never have a problem, right? So
and that's just it. Being prepared, having a lot of planning, it's absolutely huge. But I know there's so many other aspects to your business, certainly from a marketing and of course the staff, because if you can't properly staff an event, then can you really offer the best service? So when we come back after the break, we'll tackle those issues.
Our profile tonight is Brahm Mauer of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service. Today's entrepreneur on CJAD 800 at 7:15.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
7:20 on today's Entrepreneur. Welcome back. Our guest this evening is Brahm Mauer of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service, and we were talking a bit of vodka during the commercial break. And so let's continue on that front. When it comes to your products, obviously, how do you acquire new products? How do you decide which goes behind the bar, which doesn't? And how well do you have to know your brews?
We, at the end of the day, vodka is vodka and rum is rum. I mean, we do have two different packages. We have a basic package. We have a premium package. Some people love their Grey Goose and their Belvedere and their Kettle One, and some people don't mind just drinking Sky.
And their scotches, of course.
And the scotches, yeah. Once we hit our premium package, we're going into the single malt scotches, etc. I try to cater my my inventory for both packages around what's popular, around what people like to drink. Of course, you have different clients that would like a higher end Scotch bar or a higher end vodka bar, and then we got to start looking at Cirocs and importing different vodkas from wherever that are not available in Canada. Where we really excel is when we introduce the mixology. The mixology is something we introduced this year. It's been around for probably about 5 years now. We just partnered up with Nectar and Mixology, which is a huge mixology company in the city. They usually do all the store openings, all the restaurant openings, excuse me. So they'll cater a menu around the theme of the restaurant, etc.
What exactly is mixology?
So mixology, I mean, there's so many people, there's so many different definitions of mixology, but a rum and Coke is a rum and Coke. You're mixing two ingredients. Mixology is
a Cuba Libre.
Right. The mixology is a mixture of anywhere from, let's say, 5 to a million different ingredients. You know what I mean? It's really taking different liqueurs and different flavors and different ingredients from all around the world and bringing them together for that one awesome cocktail. So what we love is that, this year when we're quoting on different weddings and corporate events, etc., is we're including the mixology in all of our packages. And what's great is that the bride and groom, we can sit down with them and say, what do you like to drink? Oh, I like gin and I like vodka and, I like cranberries and I like ginger and I like this and I like that. And, it could be things that are off the wall, and we'll try to tie in, their background, where they're from, where their family's from, etc. Let's say it's Morocco or Israel, etc. And we'll make a drink based on them, or 3 cocktails or 4 cocktails based on them, based on what they like. And that's something special because it's catered especially for them. They're drinks that no one has probably ever seen before. I mean, listen, things get repeated, of course, but we're catering specifically to the bride and groom. And that's something that's, they love it. They feel special. We can call it whatever name they want. It could be the street that they grew up on or the street that they met on. Who knows? But that's really where we get to interact and take what they like and tie it into their wedding,
And certainly helps with the word of mouth marketing,
right?
Because marketing is a huge aspect, and people got to know that you're around.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think marketing might be the next thing that we talk about after the break.
Sounds good. Brahm Mauer joins us of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service, our profile this evening on today's Entrepreneur at 7:23.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
7:25. Welcome back to today's Entrepreneur. Our guest this evening is Brahm Mauer of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service, and let's talk a bit about marketing. You mentioned that you got a big boost after you did that one first event for the Sour Cook Fund. Did you literally see sort of new clients coming in that were directly as a result of that, and then the word of mouth became your principal marketing tool, or do you have other tools in your kit?
Well, when we got, of course, the Kids for Kids. I mean, when you're serving upwards of 1,000 people, you're gonna get spoken about. The word's gonna start to spread, and we definitely did get direct other events from that particular event. When I first started, I made it a point to speak with the event planners directly. I wanted them to know that there was something new out there that wasn't being done. I wanted them to know that we were new on the market, and we wanted to bring what we had to offer to them. The event planners are a massive, massive part of our business. We do get a lot of events from them. And then again, like Josh said before, it's a lot of word of mouth. We try to do bridal shows and as many fundraisers as we can, because the fundraisers are great. We're in there, we're raising money for a great cause, whatever it may be, whether it's children or the McCord Museum, etc. And that always brings in new people. The bridal show is another aspect of of our business, we do Maddie K's Bridal Boudoir, which is once a year. It's at the Hyatt Regency, and that's really, the bread and butter. I have to tell you that the bridal shows are a great avenue to bring in new business. We're showcasing the mixology, we're showcasing our staff, and people love it. They're in that mode. So
the typical people that attend these shows, is it brides? Is it more event planners that you're catering to? I mean, they have their own, potentially they have their own booths and their own. So you walk around the show and not just stay at your booth. Like how active do you treat those trade shows?
I'm at my booth the whole time. Okay, it's not really a booth; it's more of just a big, large bar.
So it sounds like a terrible place to be.
But I'm always at my booth. I personally love being there to meet anyone that's picking up my business card or my flyer or has any questions. I want to be there to answer it. And I also have my my VP of operations that's on the other side of the bar answering any questions on that side as well. Yes, a lot of people from the industry do come, event planners, florists, photographers, you name it. And I know most of the people that are at the show. We're really there to meet the brides, the mothers of the brides, the bridesmaids.
Do you scope out the competition too?
Well, actually, we're exclusive to that show, so there's no competition at that particular show, at the Maddie K show, where we are the exclusive bar there. So, but yes, I do. I do like to know what's going on in the city. I like to know if people are starting a new, service that I'm not aware about, etc. Because it's healthy competition, right? It's we want to see what other people are doing, and we need to excel based on that as well. So,
any other forms of media that you use for marketing, whether it's social or
elsewhere? We're very, very big on the social media. I actually just recently outsourced my social media to a friend of mine who started her own company. I believe social media is extremely, extremely important. I owe Facebook a lot because Facebook is what, was one of the major players in growing our business. A lot of people don't use Facebook to the advantage that they should, to be able to post pictures and statuses and, just being at different events all the time, and you're constantly in people's face. It's like the second someone thinks about bar, I want them to think about me. You know what I mean? So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook for sure is massive. And then also we're advertising in Elegant Wedding Magazine, which is one of the biggest wedding magazines in Canada. And
is it worthwhile being in print? I mean, you're such a, it's the face-to-face, it's the feel, it's the touch, it's the talk. What does a magazine do for you?
A magazine, I hear what you're saying. A magazine is good. It's a little bit of credibility as well. When you're in a big magazine like that and people see and you have a nice big ad, it stands out. Of course, trying the drinks are different from seeing a picture of it, but it's great because not only that, but I've created a great relationship with the people from Elegant Wedding and Mariage Chic, and we always support each other, and they cover a lot of events that we do too. So yes, it helps, but it's also more on the relationship side as well. So
Brahm Mauer of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service is our profile tonight on Today's Entrepreneur. More with him in a moment.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
7:36. Welcome back to Today's Entrepreneur, inspiring stories from outstanding business people. Dan Delmar along with Josh Miller of Fuller Landau. And our guest tonight is Brahm Mauer of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service. Certainly very exciting business, organizing a lot of parties, or at least helping the bar section out at many events. But it certainly creates a lot of challenges when it comes to HR and when it comes to employees. Interesting, Josh, to sort of contemplate how sort of wild businesses like this deal with HR.
And I mean, every business has to deal with a certain number of people, some more than others. A lot of people are in the back office, but here, I mean, Brahm has to hire people that has to deal directly with the customers. It's not back office. Everybody becomes the face of Brahm Mauer Bar Services, which makes it a very important asset to have in your business.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about how important it is and how do you deal with your staff?
Yeah, the staff is actually the most important thing. It's something that we're very conscious of. We any staff that's working behind my bar or on the floor or just hired by me for an event is an extension to my business. They're ambassadors of my brand, so they have to be the best employee you've ever seen, right? And we always make sure that we hire people with a minimum of 3 years experience in whatever field that they're going to be working in for us. And of course, they have to be good looking. They have to they have to be able to adapt to any situation. We don't just want the girl who can shake a martini but not talk to anyone. They have to be able to adapt to a corporate event, a wedding, a private party. When you're in someone's house, it's a different scene than when you're doing a huge fundraiser for 1,000 people, right?
So really, you're trying to avoid the fake and try to get to the genuine,
to the real. Yeah, we really want someone
in all aspects,
right? We want we want someone to be able to interact with anyone. When it's a corporate event and you have a bunch of suits in the room, you don't want someone that's going to act dumb. You know what I mean? Like
Does that mean the wardrobe is also an effect, or when you have an event, you have to select the wardrobe based on the event?
Yes, absolutely, we do. What we do is we all work through text message. Excuse me. So when it comes to a corporate event, I'll tell them classy but sexy. You know what I mean? Covered shoulders if we're in a synagogue, for example. If it's a fundraiser where we're trying to bring in as much money as possible for the bar, then it's like a dress hot type of deal, and we're here to make money for the Sour Cook Fund or whatever the case may be. So uniform definitely plays a role for sure.
Now, I hear you that you want to hire them with a few years of experience, but when they come into the door and then you actually hire them, do you give them any kind of training? Or you say, this is how we operate?
Yeah.
What kind of formal steps do you take to make sure that they're doing first-rate job for you in the way you want it?
Right. Well, when I first speak with them, I give them a little bit of insight to how we work, how it operates, and how I staff them. When it comes to actual training, I have to tell you that I really haven't ventured too much into someone that doesn't have bar experience. We boast that we have the best staff in the city because we do, and that's because they have the experience. But if we do have someone that is a go-getter and wants to learn, we will train them on the spot. My other barmaids will train them as per what I like, et cetera, et cetera. So
you're dealing with a lot of alcohol. Obviously, anything can go wrong. How do you train them in terms of dealing with unexpected situations?
Right. We have a very big responsibility too. I mean, yes, it's fun, it's great, and we're having a great time. We have hot barmaids, but at the end of the day, we're responsible for the people that are drinking at our bar. So clearly, when someone's inebriated, my barmaids are the first one to say, no, you can't have a vodka. Have this bottle of water first. You know what I mean? And because it's coming from a cute professional girl, it's like, maybe I will have this bottle of water before I have another. And we are very responsible when it comes to that. It's just because we're not at a bar and it's not a paid bar situation, and it is open bar, we actually have to be more careful about how we're serving people, because you're talking about 1,000 people. Sometimes you can't have eyes everywhere, and we want to make sure that people are being responsible too when they're leaving the event.
So is there also a hierarchy? There's supervision. It's not just all the bartenders, bartendresses.
Yeah.
You basically have somebody watching out and scoping the room
Absolutely.
and making sure things are functioning.
I'm pretty much on almost every event that I do. I try to make a point to be at every event that I am, that we get hired for, rather. If I'm not there, I do have responsible people behind the bar or on the floor watching and making sure that, no one's rude to our staff either. It comes down to that point too. When alcohol is involved, we've all seen it before. People can get unruly and people can get rude, and we don't want that happening either. We want to put our barmaids and our staff into a respectful environment where everyone is treating each other properly and for the better of the event type of thing. So
is there if you ever had a difficult situation, or whether it was a staff member or a particular environment where you kind of had to really judge and change the aspect, or send somebody home, or bring in an extra bar because there wasn't enough space? Like, how do you kind of deal with that?
We've done a couple of events where we were a little bit overwhelmed, and I think that's not something to be embarrassed about. I think that's a challenge that it's how we grow, right? So we've been in situations where we're a little understaffed, and lucky enough, I have the best staff in the city, as I mentioned before, and it was really a question of one text message to 3 people, and they were there within a half an hour. They came, they bailed us out, they started bussing, and it's like, we take very good care of our staff. We make sure that they're very happy. We give them ample time to, come and work for us. We'll tell them, sometimes 2 to 3 weeks in advance, hey, we have an event on so-and-so date, so they can plan their life too. We try, I've been there, I've been the guy getting scheduled, and now I'm doing the scheduling, and I know what it's like. And we try to keep that that respect for our staff and make sure that they're happy too. It's very important. Otherwise, they're not going to come to work and they're not going to want to be there. And that's actually the main thing. Sometimes you go to a bar and the gentleman could be, it doesn't matter what his age is, but the gentleman could be, a 55-year-old guy who doesn't like his job, who pre-rims his Caesar glasses. You see glassware all over the bar. That's not what we're about. The people that come and work for me and us are people that love what they do just like me. And that's really the main focus.
So it's of course a fun environment, but you do have the serious moments. You have the discipline, and if something's going wrong, whatever, the goal. I mean, you take somebody aside and say, "This is really how we need to do it, not another way."
Yeah, I have a 3-strike rule type of thing. I'll tell you, it should be 2. I'm a little lenient, but I have a 3-strike rule. So I'll tell somebody something once. I'll tell them again the second time a little firmer. If it comes to a third time, I mean, if they just don't get it, they're probably not going to get called for any more work. But I always give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I'm a little bit of a softie like that.
So in terms of misbehaving employees, you have that under control. But what about misbehaving clients? Have you ever had to fire a client because they were too rowdy?
Fire a client? Mm-hmm. No. We don't fire the clients. The clients fire us, if anything, and that's never happened either. So.
But have you ever had to say no to a customer?
We try not to say no. We say more like no problem. But yes, sometimes it does merit. Like, we can't do everything.
Right.
I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver. I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver, of course. So go ahead.
And I guess you spoke earlier. I'm kind of intrigued when entrepreneurs are working in a local environment and they want their name out there. You spoke as one of your first events being a fundraiser. Where does community give back enter into your philosophy as an entrepreneur in Montreal?
I think I'm very privileged to have my business. I think that, like I said before, how I started the company when I was working, when I was a little bit in debt. I think that what I've created is not only something that's very special in Montreal, but it's something special to me because it's my baby, right? So,
Do you make sure that you are, you're in the scene, you community give back? If somebody doesn't approach you, you'll whether you sit on a board or whatever, you'll offer your services in some way, shape, or form to make sure that there's some give back.
Yeah, back to what I was saying, like just about being privileged. I'd like to give back as much as possible. Let's be honest, okay? By me lowering my price significantly to do these fundraisers, to me it's all about a marketing play, because we're giving back. It's a great feeling. But at the same time, no, we're not making money, but we're seeing 1,000 people or 600 people, and someone's bound to book my services. If I get one job from that one fundraiser, it's all worth it, right? So yes, it's something that we take very seriously. I'll try to do as many as I can.
And everybody can hear this man loves what he does. Now I think we're going to go on something everybody loves to hate a little bit. We're talking about sales tax with my partner, Ernie Furt. We'll be back right after the break.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
7:49. Welcome back to today's Entrepreneur, a show about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. And in studio with us, we have Brahm Mauer of Brahm Mauer Bar Services. And Josh, let's talk some taxes.
And
yes, we were having too much fun.
We were clearly having far too much fun. We can still have fun. We can still have a lot of fun.
Ernie Furt.
What a great segue, guys.
I know. Sorry to give you such an awful intro, Ernie Furt, tax partner at Fuller Landau, but sales tax is up next, Josh.
And it's certainly it really touches every single business that's out there. You can't really escape it. Not that you should, but certainly we turn to Ernie and for him to give us a few thoughts on the challenges, what entrepreneurs may certainly keep at the top of their mind as far as sales taxes go.
Well, a lot of it is detailed record keeping. A lot of clients don't necessarily keep good records, and they're very lax. They'll pay things by check, won't get a proper invoice. They'll go to a restaurant, they won't get the proper receipts, and the government is very stringent. And they look at these things, and they look at them from both sides, and they say, you got to have everything, you got to have your proper documentation, or else we're not going to allow you the credit. And also on your invoices, you have to indicate your GST number, because if you don't indicate the GST number, that means your customer won't be able to claim his or her credit.
Is there a way that you can verify that the GST QST number is valid? I mean, I don't know how many crooks are out there. There might be one or two in this town. But is it? I mean, have you heard stories where it's not right and people should maybe verify?
Yeah. Generally, what I recommend to people is that they verify all new customers, and they go onto the MRQ website, and they indicate the QST number on there, and there's a place on there that says the validated QST number. So you can do that. In addition, that'll also take you to the federal website so you can validate the GST number. And it'll indicate if the number is good. And generally what I would do is I would print that. And for certain industries, it's very important that even before you pay a check to somebody, that you should print that thing off of the websites, both the GST website and the Quebec website and the federal website, in order to maintain proof that you actually did something to verify that this customer that you're paying, this supplier, is good.
Now, we're talking about bar services and drinks and entertainment. Are there special rules from a sales tax standpoint that revolve around this entertainment type business?
It's just like any other business for the most part. Your bill to your customer is going to have the GST and QST on it. The service charge that you have will be added to your bill, and there will be GST and QST on top of that if it's added onto the bill. And your supplier is, for the most part, pretty easy. That's the SAQ.
Yeah.
So they definitely charge you the taxes, and it's definitely there. And then
left
you have
pocket,
to,
left pocket, right pocket. It's all.
Effectively, but you still got to pay it anyways. And you have to buy you don't necessarily have to buy your glassware, do you?
No, it's all rented.
So that's all rented, and that's, you're not responsible for the rentals. And then there's your people. That's it.
But then the general consumer and businesses, when they're actually going out to restaurants, not necessarily a bar service, but restaurants, there are limitations on what you can claim back. Right?
Well, you can for income tax purposes as well as GST purposes, you can only claim back 50% of your meals and entertainment, regardless of whether you take 10 people to the restaurant or not, or 2. So you have 50% add back for both GST and QST. There's some exceptions to those rules. If you have an office party that everybody's invited to, you can claim back 100% of that, and you can do up to 6 parties a year.
And I know that since Quebec government is certainly looking for funds, they have a number of auditors on the road. So when we come back after the break, we'll talk a little bit about sales tax audits.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Remaining moments on today's Entrepreneur. Our guests in studio are Brahm Mauer of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service and Ernie Furt, tax partner at Fuller Landau, talking about sales tax, Josh.
And we wanted to broach a subject of government audits, which we all know entrepreneurs love to live and breathe and make sure the auditor doesn't stay as long as they really want to. But, are there certain issues, challenges, or things that entrepreneurs can think of? Maybe you can give us a story that kind of depicts a government audit, Ernie.
There are many stories. Some of the audits are long and involved. Other ones are quick. You try to give them as much information as they need in order for them to go home and do what they have to do. Sometimes we get consulted where clients will call us up and say, well, we're being audited and we just have been audited, and here is the project of assessment. And we have 3 days to respond. Well, usually they give you a couple of weeks, but I really don't want to get involved at that point in time. I'm right near the end, 11th hour. And generally, there's a lot of that says, well, we're missing information. You don't need me to go get the information. You have to go find that information. Where you need the tax professional to help you out is where there's bad situations and that the government, these days, sometimes they're being a little pushy. I would say a lot pushy. There's certain industries that they tackle and they say you're being complicit with your suppliers, and at the end of the day, are you truly being complicit with them? You're hiring them to do a job. They're a subcontractor, so the subcontractor will go and they'll either manufacture your clothes or they'll clean your building. They'll do all that stuff. You will pay them, and at the end of the day, the job is done. You're happy. They're registered. Everything's good. But the government's looking at them and they're saying, well, they haven't paid their deductions at source. Interesting. I have no way of verifying if they paid their deductions at source. Yes, but you should have known. Excuse me, how should I have known? There's no way to find this out. They said, well, you're complicit with them. I said, well, they changed companies, and they're now in a different company. So really, am I complicit? Or is the government, who's giving more numbers to these guys for a second time around, are they being complicit? These are strange stories.
I think what we're coming across, or what we see on the street, is because there's so many auditors added to the road, their knowledge level of business operations and how things operate are so much less today than they used to be, that if you can't properly explain how your business operates, they don't understand, and they reach conclusions that are completely asinine. So those are things too that entrepreneurs have to look at, explaining your business and trying to make sure they understand the processes. Hopefully that will help as well. Thank you very much, Ernie. And as we approach our last few moments, we'll turn to Brahm and ask Brahm, what would be your one piece of advice to today's entrepreneur?
You know, I probably said it a couple times while I was talking earlier, but genuinely just love what you're doing. And have a passion for it. You know, if you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to say, oh, I got to go to work today, it's not good. Love what you're doing and execute it properly. And you know the expression, love what you do and never work a day in your life. Well, that's the advice.
And I think you say it very well, and it clearly comes out in the discussion that we had earlier. It no longer feels like work at that point.
Absolutely.
It's now just kind of going out there and charging for something you love to do. Yeah. Just like you, Dan. You know, exactly. You go on air, you charge for what you love to do, because that's what it's all about.
When I'm with you, Josh, it feels like it's not work at all. So.
You know, other than the other takeaway of make sure you surround yourselves with good-looking staff, and that should also make
it's also very important. Yeah,
that should make you feel good too about
right.
your job.
Absolutely.
Brahm Mauer of the Brahm Mauer Bar Service, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
And Ernie Furt, thanks for tax advice as always.
Thank you.
And Josh, we're back next week, next Monday night at 7 p.m.
Absolutely.
All right, more Today's Entrepreneur then. The Exchange is next. It's 8 o'clock on CJAD 800.